Are you ready to make the best Parmigiana di Melanzane you ever had? I am. Andiamo!
Guys, today we're in for a treat. Aubergines. We're gonna be making Melanzane alla Parmigiana, which is one of Italy's most iconic classics. Now, when I cook something, I always like to understand where it comes from, what is the history behind it. And this dish is particularly contentious because some people say it's from Sicily. That's at the end of the day, melanzane, aubergines came to Sicily from India when the Arabs conquered it. If you go to Naples, they say it's theirs. If you go to Parma, they say it's theirs. So whose is it? It doesn't really matter who it is because it is slightly differently, and wherever it comes from, it tastes amazing. So we're gonna do one version today that is really easy, and it's amazing when you have guests over because it looks fantastic once it's completed. So you can do it in two different ways. I'm going to show you the little Parmigiana Towers, which are great to share and really fun to cook. So before we start cutting up these bad boys, let's start making the tomato sauce. Tomato sauce, we make it super easy this time. So we take a couple of cloves of garlic. So you can take the whole one and just squash it. Don't cut it, don't peel it. We'll take it out. This is just to give a little bit of flavor. So this goes in. Some cooking oil. Use extra virgin olive oil. It's always much better for your health. It tastes much better. It's Italian, so do that. And we let the garlic slowly pick up flavor. And then we also gonna take a little bit of basil. The smell is great. Just a few leaves. And we're gonna put them in the oil. And this is gonna infuse the oil, really get that flavor of the basil out. There are a few different ways you can do the tomato sauce. We're gonna do a quick version because yes, if it was summer, we had fresh tomatoes, we could do it fresh, but it's not summer. I mean, it's raining, it's been raining here in London for like 2 weeks non-stop. So best things, canned tomatoes. These are whole plums. Whole plums canned tomatoes are always the best ones because they take grade A tomatoes. So effectively, you're having the best quality. But it also means that there are whole plums. So for the Parmigiana, I quite like when the tomato sauce is very smooth. So I'm gonna blend it real quick. And this really is a question of preference. Some people like the chunky bits. I don't, and given this is my cooking show, I decide. Just a quick little buzz. All right, so that's it. So liquidy, take this and we plump it in here. We lower the heat. You could also just add a little bit of water. So you clean everything up. No wastage in the kitchen. Low heat. This is gonna stay here. We're gonna put one of these bad boys on. And interesting fact about tomato sauce is that yes, that's probably ready in 15-20 minutes. But if you got the time and you cook it to 45 minutes, 40 minutes plus, it becomes a lot easier to digest. The tomatoes are already quite acidic, so by cooking it slow, by cooking it long, is going to make them a lot more flavorful. The sweet comes out, but most importantly, it becomes a lot more digestible. And given that Parmigiana is quite a bit of a bomb in terms of calorie intake, at least tomato sauce, let's make it light. I've actually had a bit of a change of plan. So we're still going to make the Parmigiana Towers, because I promised I would make them, so we're going to make it. But during the little break, Ellie was like, but let's have Parmigiana tonight for the family as well. So I'm like, yeah, it's a pretty good idea. So I'm going to show you the family version as well, which is pretty much the same way of cooking it. We just need a big tray so that everybody gets to eat it and it's just easier to share. For the little towers, we need to cut them differently because we need to make little towers out of it. Top and bottom goes off. And I don't need to peel all of it, but we peel a little bit, makes it a bit softer, just more palatable. Okay, and this is probably really, really boring to watch, so I'll do this and we'll touch base in a couple of minutes, right? Okay, I saved you guys the boring bit, so we're gonna make, with this one, the little towers. So we're cutting them in circles. For the family tray version, we just cut it in slices. So make a flat side, turn it the other way so you got more control, and then you slice it. Again, try to be as even as possible because then we're gonna fry them, and of course if they're the same thickness, it's a lot easier to do that. Now, there is a school of thought about what to do with the aubergines when you cut it. If you're listening to my grandma, which when it comes to food, she's usually always right, she would sprinkle sea salt, put in a colander, and let it rest for a bit. what that does is that the salt pulls out the liquid from the aubergines, which is considered bitter liquid. So it's a way to eliminate the bitterness from the aubergines. I've done it that way and I've done it without that. And to be honest, I don't perceive that much of a difference. But I think for most of us home cooks, it doesn't really. We've got our two versions, this one, tray family version. This one, we're gonna make little towers. Next step is we need to fry them. Before we fry them, we need to flour them. So take out the flour. So we take flour, always use very good quality flour. It's just better for you. And we wanna give a sprinkle of flour. We don't wanna, we don't wanna coat it too much. It's just a light sprinkle. And that's gonna help when we fry it to make it extra soft. So we can make space by putting these things here. One side, shake it all around here. See, just a light coating, shake here. Now that took longer than expected. Whose idea was it to make two versions of it? All done, all floured, lightly floured, and now we got to fry it. Some people may say, hey, don't fry it, it's fattening, why don't you just grill them? Yes, true, you can grill them, but guys, how often do you make Parmigiana? 3 times a year, 4 times a year? Then if you do Parmigiana, do it properly, right? Fry it up, make it super yummy. I mean, you can decide to be on a diet or with another dish, right? With that said, we've got some oil that is warming up, probably needs a little bit more. We're gonna cook at about 160 temperature. So let's get ready while that gets heated up. Save some kitchen paper, just put it here. So we're gonna drain it. With Parmigiano, you really wanna feel the basil. It just gives that freshness to the dish. So we wanna use a lot of basil, and we're just gonna add a few more leaves. So down they go, mix them in. And then we're gonna use even more basil when we pile it up, because basil is great. It's fresh, it just works amazing with the tomato, with the cheese, which we're gonna use. Oil is at temperature, so let's start with the first one. And remember, always splash away from you. Don't crown the pot. Be very careful when you turn them. And when the melanzane is nice and golden like this, we take them, just let it drip a bit, and on kitchen paper. And we rinse and repeat until everything is done. And this is why I'm telling you guys, you need to do the melanzane the fried way, because grilling them takes exactly the same amount of time, which is quite a bit of time, but then you're just having half the pleasure. So if you have to do all this work, you need to have full pleasure out of this. So you need to fry it. This is what love sounds like. See, this is love for food. Let's talk salt. The sugo has been cooking slowly and it's quite dense. We're gonna turn it off. The garlic, we take it out. We don't want it anymore. It's giving all the flavor. We're gonna add cheese to Parmigiana, which is salty. So we have to salt the sugo as well, because the aubergines are not salty. Our tomato sauce is smelling fantastic. As you see, I've been layering it with kitchen paper so that it dries up. So we're just gonna move our way here, and it's time to plate it up. Start off with some tomato at the bottom. Move it around. And this is the bit where it differs from region to region in Italy, because if you go to Sicily, the Sicilian Parmigiana only uses tomato sauce and Parmesan. I guess back in the day, you must have used tomato sauce and pecorino of some sort. When instead you make your way up to Naples, at Napoli, they use the mozzarella. Where would the Napoletani be without their wonderful mozzarella? I'm always a little bit reluctant to cook with mozzarella. I feel like the water content always makes it a little bit more difficult to cook. And here we also get to decide, how do we want our Parmigiana? Do we want it low and wide, so like a larger tray lower, or we want it nice and high? I like it nice and high. We break up some more basil. We just love basil. By the way, you know that you should always break basil by hand, right? You know that no knife should ever touch the basil. That's a big no-no. And Parmigiano. The next layer, we just layer up the other way around. One more sauce. One more layer of Parmigiano. Especially if you grate it by hand, see, it becomes really, really fine. And this is great because this really melts away. Much better than using a blender or anything mechanical to cut it. You get the point here. Layer over layer over layer over layer, blah, 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 to the height you want. So let me show you how to make the little mountains and then we'll finish things afterwards. So here we have our little round guys, some non-stick parchment paper, and the process is exactly the same. So how many should we make? Should we make 4? So 1, 2, 3. Start off with the biggest rounds. All right. Same process. Some of this. Spread it all around, spread it all around, spread it all around, spread it all around. Some fantastic fresh basil. Great smell, great color. We love everything about it. A little cheese. And we put it up. Next guy. Again, try to go in order of size so it looks the part. These ones are great as a little appetizer when you have guests over. Everybody gets their own. Looks really tidy. You can prepare them beforehand. And you just have them ready in your kitchen. So when they come, you just pop them in the oven and off you go. Bit of cheese. And you'll be the talk of the town. And I've decided to stop here, but you want to make the Leaning Tower of Pisa? Go ahead, make your Leaning Tower of Pisa. I'm going to make a confession. When I decided to make 2 different types of Parmigiana, I forgot to double up the amount of sugo that I had to cook. So we had to put a pause and I had to get a new batch of sugo. Anyway, the measurement is basically 1 can of canned tomatoes per aubergine, give or take. So anyway, back to square one, assuming, this little thing didn't happen. We still have another 4 circles, so let's just go for the last bit of height. Look how cute they look, huh? So I've switched on the oven, preheated at 180 fan mode. This is going into the oven. And depending on the oven, it can take anywhere between 25 to 35 minutes. Probably those ones more like 25. So we get to continue with this. And this is why Parmigiana is a labor of love, because it tastes amazing, but there is quite a bit of bits and pieces that you need to do, things you need to take care of. The whole process is going to take you a while, easily a good hour. And this Parmigiana, this is the family version. So it's made for sharing. Again, in the oven, 30 minutes. Take this up. And off it goes. Bye bye, my lovelies. It smells great. It smells great. It's been here half an hour. So let's start with taking out these guys. And this is our family version with less here. So if we start taking our little Parmigiana Tower, this is 1 and this is 2. And you can see how if you have guests over at your house, you can make 1 for each one of your guests. Easy to plate, easy to serve. A little bit of basilico. And anytime there's tomato, basil is just as best. Make some fresh parmesan. Put these bad boys back, make it look fancy. Look at this. You can bring this to your guests and come on, you're gonna be the most popular host on the planet. Family version. It's very soft, very easy to cut even with this knife. Let's take a little spatula. And here we are. So this is the less fancy but family version. Similar thing, a little bit of fresh parmesan and a little bit of decoration. This one is for my wife, so I like to impress her, make her happy. And this is what you can do when it's just for your family. And what's great about the Melanzane Parmigiana is that right now they're boiling hot and they're amazing. In a bit they're gonna be lukewarm and they're still gonna be amazing. Tomorrow they're gonna be cold, they're still gonna be amazing. Melanzane is one of those things that just make a big batch. So we made a big tray for tonight for dinner. Probably halfway is going to be left over. That's fine. We're going to have it tomorrow. I mean, when you go through this whole process, make a large batch and enjoy it twice. So let's give this one a taste. Look how soft. Look. This is not a sharp knife. This is just a butter knife and you go through it. Look, it just breaks. And this is because we cooked it the way we did. Okay, let's give this thing a shot. This thing is fantastic. So tender. And you can taste just the most delicate fry. You can taste everything we did to the tomato sauce, the basil, the most delicate hint of garlic, the parmesan, everything just works together in an unbelievable way. And it's simple. I mean, it's not the quickest of things, but it's simple. So you gotta do it, you gotta enjoy it, you gotta share with your friends. This is just great. I really hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please subscribe to the channel and put a big thumbs up. It's always very important for us. And let me know how it goes in the comments. I'd love to have feedback on this. So thank you and buon appetito.